Hello again, race fans, and welcome to the infamous Watkins Glen International Circuit in Watkins Glen, New York. It is round 5 of 12. It's the US IndyCar League's season 12. We're continuing the action right here on VirtualRacing.Network. So great to have you along with us here. If you're watching live or checking in later, either way, thank you for tuning in. We're getting set for an awesome day of road course racing action for these very skilled IndyCar drivers. The only thing is, usually, they're only on ovals. So these guys are pretty much oval masters. They're going to be, there's going to be quite a range of skill sets trying to adapt themselves to the road course here at Watkins Glen. But of course, it's a famous circuit. It's been around since the 1950s. Of course, IMSA and Formula One, as well as IndyCar, calling this place home for many great races over the years. Just taking a look a little bit earlier at the amazing drivers that have won here over the years. It's pretty fantastic. As you can imagine, actually IndyCar hasn't been here that many years, surprisingly. Speeds here are pretty insane. So we watch Dan Ensch now getting ready to qualify out there. We'll start getting some of the qualifying times coming in for this afternoon's race. Dan Ensch, one of those oval masters, but he's been known to be able to put in a good lap on a road course every now and again. So he might be one of the favorites today. And of course, we got a lot to talk about today, but this track is one of those classics that's been part of the IndyCar scene, as I was mentioning, back into the 70s. When Penske Racing came here in the 70s, from 79 through 81, they just dominated, with Bobby Unser winning a couple of races, then Rick Mears. And then when the IRL came back in 2005 through 2010, it was none other than Scott Dixon and Chip Ganassi Racing dominating those early years. Hunter Ray and Wilson, Will Power also getting their name on the list. And then most recently, when they came back in 2016, 2017, it was Scott Dixon and Alexander Rossi. So an Indy 500 champ and an IndyCar champ have won here most recently. Will that be the case today? Will we see a preview of who is to become champ? That is entirely possible. So we see these drivers taking, now this is the classic boot circuit, as you can see here. We'll go on board with Dan Ensch as he flies around with the Alzheimer's.org machine. First lap was a 1:28.25, and you can see that was good enough for fifth fastest. Getting some faster laps turned in now. Graham Bunyan with a 1:27.53. He's working on his second lap. That so far is your pole time. 1:27.79 by fellow Australian David Stritt up there. And just one more lap to go for a number of these drivers. So this track, the classic boot configuration, actually I don't think was ever seen, I'm 99% sure, was never seen by an IndyCar, because in 92, after they had solidified the boot section, well, before they came back in the 2000s, they had instituted the inner loop, outer loop situation on this track, and most drivers, or most series, choosing to use that because of the extremely dangerous high speeds coming into the turn on the backstretch. So as we get set for today's action, it is in fact Graham Bunyan who does take the pole position. Absolutely nobody's surprise. And take a look at the qualifying results. There you go. It's Graham Bunyan with your pole. He leads the points. We talk to him every week in the podium interviews, it seems, but he won't stop. He puts his head down every week, and obviously bringing some of that road racing talent. And it's kind of, he's got a personal friendship with David Strid, fellow Australian. They race together a lot, and so for him to come out on top, just getting him by a little bit, I think that means a lot to him. Nevertheless, these two are only 0.3 ahead of James Kennedy, and it will be fascinating to see if Kennedy can possibly make his move forward from that third position. Now, of course, these drivers do have lots of tools today to be able to utilize. You've, of course, got the anti-roll bars to keep the tires fresh. There's no weight jacker today because it's a road course. We don't use the weight jacker on road courses, but these drivers are going to be doing everything they can to move forward. And as you can see, the rest of the starting order, Manuel Gomez Esteban showing some great speed there, qualifying 4th. Howard Livingston currently up in the points in 2nd. We'll show that just a moment as these drivers are going to be doing a full pace lap around Watkins Glen. We get a little bit of time to talk, but Howard Livingston there in 5th. Good qualifying for him. He's really showing well this season. He's been qualifying well. He's been racing well. Howard Livingston really stepping up the pace here and doing a great job of it. Dan Ensch going to be starting in 6th, and Jason Lowe, perennial series favorite. What can he do today? Well, he's starting 7th mid-pack. That's something we're not really used to seeing from Jason Lowe, but maybe it'll work out to his benefit today. Then we've got back on row 4, Rick Kelbaugh, Mr. StickQuik, and Rick Lovison starting alongside. Matty Simpson going to be starting in 9th. It's going to be starting 10th. And Inigo Mardona's 11th. Mike West will be starting 12th, it says. And I'm looking to see, it looks like Matty Simpson was here for the race, but unfortunately didn't make it into qualifying. Not sure if Matty is intending to start from the pits. I don't see him on the track at the moment. So 11 cars set to make today's grid. So let's go ahead and take a look at the current point situation. So these drivers make their way now down that long straightaway. Again, we'll be seeing drivers upwards towards 200 miles an hour by the time they hit the end of this back straightaway today. That should be a lot of fun. Will be a site of a lot of drafting and passing. So Graham Bunyan leading the points, as you can see, very impressively, getting 3 wins from our first 4 races. And that is that's no easy measure. There's been a lot of challenges, but Graham's been doing it each and every week, and it's been a lot of fun to watch. Only taken 1 pole position before this race. Now, of course, he has 2. Howard Livingston there in 2nd place, despite no poles, no victories thus far this season. Rick Lovison there in 3rd in the points. I'm sure Rick is real happy about that. Nevertheless, going to have some hard chargers coming through today, including David Strid. Now, look at Strid. Strid's got 3 pole positions to his name this season, has not been able to convert that into a win. Jason Lowe, former 3-time champion, trying to come back with some sort of a victory or a podium position today and get his name back up there into the top 5. So we're going to be doing 45 laps of action today, and I expect that means at least 1 stop, possibly 2 stops on the day. We'll have to see how far these drivers can stretch their fuel tanks. That may be a factor. So we get set to go. Some other things to note, of course, they do have push to pass. You get 10 pushes of push to pass, and you'll want to use it very strategically. As I mentioned, there's a lot of drafting to be done here, but once you're out of that push to pass, you're out. We get set to go green here. It'll be the Australian front row of Graham Bunyan and David Strid.
Green, green, green.
And we are green. Those two fall in line, headed towards turn one. Looks like everybody else kind of choosing to do the same. Gomez Esteban there getting by James Kennedy, and Gomez Esteban loses it and puts it into the fence. Spins around. I think he only collected himself. Manages to get that car going again. And he's back underway. Looks like he might have a little bit of damage. Here's Jason Lowe. He's already up to 5th. And Lowe now trying to also take Howard Livingston. We missed the pass on Dan Ensch. We'll try to go back and catch that in a moment. But Lowe already moving around Ensch on the start here, and now tries to take a look down the inside, possibly of Howard Livingston. Not able to do it. So Lowe at the moment showing well, but at the front it's still Graham Bunyan, followed by David Strid, James Kennedy, and Howard Livingston gaining that one spot because Gomez Esteban not quite able to get the hold coming through turn one. Looks like Gomez Esteban crashed again and had to jump back to the pits. Real bummer for him. He's been slowly coming forward here in the field each and every week, and unfortunately Esteban not able to convert that top 5 into top 5 today, but you never know how it'll end up. So Strid follows Bunyan as they continue to push the pace. Last time by, Graham Bunyan a 32.94, David Strid a 33.61. And these two are really kind of our road course masters of the group. Now I did have another note, and we're going to flash back here. This was Mike West by himself at the back, unfortunately going a little wide, and able to bring it back on there. So the driver from Yakima continues. Yakima, Washington. Speaking of Northwesterners, hope I said that right. We take a look back here in 7th place. Guy who's already climbed one spot, but he's got his mirrors filled with Iñigo Montoya. It's Rick Kelbaugh, and I've conveniently left him out of the conversation when I've talked about Northwest drivers representing. Rick, of course, Mr. StickQuik, but yeah, Rick is actually based out of Idaho, and so that's the Northwest last time I counted. At least it was when I lived there. So Rick and Mike trying to take the charge to the rest of these drivers from not just the United States, but all around the world. We've got, of course, our duo of Australians, Graham Bunyan and David Strid, and Matty Simpson when he decides that he wants to race. And then a couple of great Spanish drivers that have joined the series in Iñigo Montoya. Yes, anyway, sorry, was just seeing some timing and scoring glitches there. Iñigo Montoya and Manuel Gomez Esteban are two Spaniards, of course, in the field. So bringing a little bit of international flair to what is mostly a United States cast for this series. But as we watch this continue here, kind of single file, I'll tell you one guy who was not happy with a single file procession. It was Jason Lowe, who's looking like he may have some speed. I think he probably was not very happy with that early, or with his qualifying being a little mid-pack. That's not really where we see Jason. You know, usually it doesn't matter what course it is. I mean, he's he has most of his real life racing experience doing dirt ovals and small ovals, but he does have some road course experience, and so as you can see here, he's starting to put down some good times. Last time by 29:58. Lowe is on the button right now. He's on a march. He's trying to chase down James Kennedy up in front. He's saying, I'm not going to settle for 5th, 6th, 7th. I don't know what these other guys are doing. I've got my sights on James Kennedy. There you can see on your screen as he tries to get the best of James up in front. James, a former race winner here on VirtualRacing.Network's coverage of the US IndyCar League. By the way, do appreciate you watching. My name is Trevor Greenfield, and I am so glad to be your announcer for the US IndyCar League and bringing you the coverage here on VirtualRacing.Network since the very end of Season 10, fortunately. And if you missed any of Season 11, you want to go back and relive it, you can see it right here on VirtualRacing.Network's YouTube channel. Just look in our playlists. You can watch all of the races from last season, as well as the races from this season. Get caught up on what you've missed thus far. But so far, I have to say, it's been one name pretty much only, with the exception of one other that I'll mention in a second, and that is it's been Graham Bunyan pretty much. We'll go up and take a look at this guy. Not that we don't do that on the regular. And Graham has been dominant, no question about it. He's been dominant in the past, and I think he just managed to not race enough races in Season 11 or in Season 10 to get that championship. But he came back with, full-time strength in Season 11, and we got to see some real talent on display from Graham Bunyan, taking the championship from Jason Lowe. Now your championship leader here in Season 12 as well. And the only other driver that's managed to challenge him for a race victory has been David Zaleski this season. And Zaleski is just one of those hot or cold drivers that when he's on fire on an oval, you better watch out, because he will make his way to the front, and he certainly did that day. But Zaleski, unfortunately, just a part-time entry this season. And also, I don't know that Zaleski has the road course talent to match Graham Bunyan. He's going to have to... That's one of the things that I really like about the US IndyCar League, is that these drivers really get a great chance. You see Graham Bunyan here at the end of the straightaway. Still got 10 push-to-passes. He's got the black tires on today. It's just amazing to watch speed there at the end of the straightaway. As I said, this is the older circuit that does not contain that chicane at the end of the end of the straightaway. So these drivers doing excessive speed there into that bank corner. So here's another driver that, again, we kind of skip around because, well, he just doesn't end up on the podium, sadly. It's great when we can get him on the podium, and it would be even better if we could convince David Strid to join us for a podium interview. But unfortunately, Strid's consistency has been his #1 weakness. Just either getting caught up in an incident, or possibly having a mistake himself. But I have to say, I mean, his pace has not been the problem. Not on ovals, not on road courses. David Strid is one of the best, fastest drivers, not only in this league, but if he can keep up with Graham, or sometimes beat Graham on pace, I mean, that's saying a lot. Nevertheless, both of these drivers sort of working together, not just because they're countrymen, but They also are, I believe, on the same radio chat during the race and good friends as well. And so I think it's one of those things that, David, you know, we all have our things to work on, and that's one of the beautiful parts of being in a league like this, is we can see that Jason Lowe has, in fact, gotten around James Kennedy. So let's look at this here as we can watch Jason Lowe now getting around Howard Livingston. This was for 4th place. He did so successfully. Lowe's only burned 3 push-to-passes, so then, of course, he was focused on Kennedy, so let's take a look at that one. This is the front straight. Looks like Kennedy just kind of pulling over there. Just kind of willing to let Jason go by, not make him have to burn extra push-to-pass. Not really sure. Kennedy is maybe switching his fuel mapping and trying to save some fuel. It will be seen as we get to... Apologize for cutting back and forth there. It will be seen as we get to the pit stops, which will be coming up sometime around lap 2021. We should start seeing the first drivers in. And of course, you know, some drivers may be electing to run a little bit more of a conservative fuel strategy. Awesome that we've got a chatter stopping by. Julian Altena, so great to have you stopping in. Velocity Online Racing driver and commentator, was just watching his race yesterday. Very enjoyable. They were at the Indy Grand Prix. And, of course, perfect time to mention, Julian will be joining me as co-commentator on Season 2 of the Prime Meridian Racing League. That's going to be starting up here on Wednesday as well on VirtualRacing.Network. So you'll want to tune in for that. We'll be listing those races very shortly on the YouTube channel, so you can subscribe and get notified of them. But featuring fantastic talent from all over the world, predominantly Europeans, and it's a lot of fun. So make sure to check that out on Wednesday, and get to hear Julian's voice in crystal clear surround sound, and of course be seeing it in crystal clear 4K. Hope you all are enjoying that. We're trying to bring you the details of the tracks and the cars. Spent a good deal of change to make all of this possible, get the fluid graphics and be able to see it in crystal clear, ultra high definition. But Comcast loves us at this point, and sure hope you do too, because we're trying our hardest here at VirtualRacing.Network to continue to grow and build, etc. So back to the race. It is 1-2, Graham Bunyan, David Strid, and then about 8.9 seconds back, you've got Jason Lowe. Now, what is happening on track in terms of pace? Well, last time by, it was Bunyan and Strid in the 30s, the mid-30s, and Lowe and Ensch now with 131s. They're the only ones in the 131s, although I take that back. Manuel Gomez Esteban is trying to come back from now, I think 1 lap down. Is it 2 laps down? It's about 1 lap down now, so he's trying to really come back from that. There, of course, will be no cautions to allow such a thing. Back and see Esteban. It's unfortunate he did have to jump back to the pits to take that damage repair. But Gomez Esteban trying something a little new this season. He's got a new livery. He's got the pink paint. Was so used to seeing that bright green, but he's got the fuchsia, I guess you could call it, color going. And well, again, it's just one of those things. You challenge yourself every single week to qualify, get up to the front, hold the front, hold the pace. And we do have a couple of notes here. We're going to go back and take a look. My goodness, just as we were looking off to the side. So this took place just after. This was Rick Lovison. Says he has an off track here, and in fact he does. Wow, really hard hit for Rick. Hope he got his hands off the wheel on that one. My goodness, that was... We should probably go back and look at that one more time. That was just... Prepare yourselves, folks. This is a tough hit right here. Oh, my goodness. So, as I mentioned, got to remember to get your hands off the wheel, even if it is not a real race car. Can do damage. So we had this moment happen where Dan Ensch was coming by, and again, James Kennedy just letting Ensch go by as well. So perhaps Kennedy really on a massive fuel save here. We had another incident. This was Iñigo Montoya just a few minutes ago. And he clips the wall. Unfortunately, that would have damaged the front end of the car. You can see, looks like the nose just getting a little bit of a scrape. Did he pull it into the pits at that point? No. So steering must not be too bad. And then we were just mentioning his consistency, and here is Strid, unfortunately sliding sideways. Okay, he got it right again, and Lowe has not managed to get around him. And at the moment, we're also seeing Rick Kelbaugh has entered the pits. This is probably not spectacular to watch, but I was curious if he had any damage, and it just wasn't reported to us. But I do not see any damage on the 24 of Mr. StickQuik. StickQuik Dallara IR18 IndyCar. So good news for him. Now we're getting some more drivers. We've got, there is Rick Kelbaugh is in. We've got Jason Lowe also on pit lane. And he's coming in from third. There's Dan Ensch in fourth. James Kennedy in fifth. All these drivers, Howard Livingston now pitting as well. We'll take a look at Lowe as he tries to rejoin the circuit. And there's a track map for you so you can follow along with where your favorite drivers are. Indeed, Julian letting us know from the chat room the 4K looks good on the 1080. Yeah, I'm kind of in the same boat. I've got 1080 monitors here. I don't even own a 4K set, but the way that IndyCar works, the way that as we see Jason Lowe there managing to snake around a driver. You can see Dan Ensch here in fourth. Way YouTube works, it's not really real like how the resolutions are represented. It's kind of subpar 1080 if you put out 1080. So just getting over that 1080 hump really gives a lot more detail, and we can do so much more bandwidth now. We're up to 25 Mbit a second as we see leader Graham Bunyan and David Strid into the pits. 25 Mbit a second is ridiculous. If you had gone back and told me in the 90s that we would be broadcasting something in 2021 at 25 Mbit a second, I would lock you up in a loony bin. But here we are. Technology is amazing. I couldn't even get my hands on a 4K camera or a TV 10 years ago, but now we're broadcasting iRacing live in 4K to the world. Love it. So back to the front here. We've got Graham Bunyan in the lead, in command by 8.6 seconds. David Strid's fallen back just a bit and now starting to fall into the clutches. So we can see back from Strid's car, that is the blue car of Jason Lowe on a charge and looking for more. think it would definitely mean a lot to Lowe to finish well on a road course, especially a classic like Watkins Glen. This would be the kind of boost that he might need to get back into this fight. But as I mentioned, for Strid, it might also be a matter of pride. Strid's definitely looking to get his name into the victory books here in the US IndyCar League. Especially this season when he's had 3 pole positions, not able to convert those yet. We watch from on board here, Jason Lowe. This is about what he would see from the cockpit. Nice view out the front. And the aero screen doesn't really hurt the view too much. And that was a big concern early on in these Indy cars as they were switching over. But it looks like Lowe there on the hot red tires is facing a couple of drivers who seem to love these black tires. Now we look at the weather out there also. This is really a factor right now. And there you can see getting by Mike West, who is back in 9th. Jason Lowe making his way around. So you see there at the bottom corner of the weather, 128 degrees Fahrenheit. Apologize, I don't have my Celsius converter, but that's hot, like real hot. That's getting up there in terms of what we ever see in this series. So in fact, I would say the majority of these drivers, I don't know that we have done a race that I have broadcasted that we've ever seen 128 degrees on the track. And so this is something new for these drivers, many of them, to have to deal with this level of tire degradation on a road course, have to feel those tires going off, and that very well could be the reason for the split in the tire choices. So you've got Graham Bunyan and David Strid utilizing those black primary tires to their maximum advantage. They started on the primary tires and they continue on this stint. And again, these drivers, I completely getting the pitting lap wrong because of the size of the course, and in fact, I frequently forget the fuel tank size has also been reduced, but they came in on lap 12, so doing the math, looks like fuel save will not really be necessary for Graham Bunyan or David Strid, but some of these drivers may be trying. I don't know if you could squeeze out 2 extra laps per stint. I don't think so, so I don't know. We'll have to find out. Nobody came in later than lap 12, so really Graham Bunyan and David Strid leading that charge. But Jason Lowe here in 3rd, and Dan Ensch holding a tight 4th place. Appreciate Will Stearns stopping in, letting us know what's going on in his neck of the woods. Kind of wish we had you out here on the track, Will. Great competitor. So we see a great battle happening right now on the track between Dan Ensch and Jason Lowe. Dan finding some speed in the Spark VR LLM machine, and Lowe just kind of letting him by. You know, this is what we talk about with gentleman racing, and this is a great time to bring it up. You just saw it. You've seen it a number of times from James Kennedy. Look, there's no sense if somebody's coming up and they're a half a second to a second faster than you. Yeah, you can definitely try to hold them back and hold them off, but there's no sense. You know, you could just tangle and it could be a problem. So rather than encounter that kind of an issue, why do that? Just let them by. If you got the pace to get them back again, then go for it. But otherwise, discretion the better part of valor. You definitely want to survive the end of the race, and certainly that's something Jason Lowe has been working on, I know, but it hasn't worked out in his favor. So this time really going aggressive like James Kennedy to pull completely off to the side and let a hard-charging Dan Ensch through. Now, push-to-pass situation, again, apologize, our software does not provide us with push-to-pass or tire information, tire choice information. We're being told that that is in beta, and we should have it at some point in the future, which we hope. And unfortunately, it won't be coming to this graphics package that we have, so we'll be changing the graphics package as well. Always fun to keep up with technology and changes, as these drivers have had to do, of course, with this. Now, this is also something to mention. These drivers now, this is the first time that the US IndyCar League has actually utilized the road course, the brand new road course tires that have been introduced this season. And this was a welcome change for sure, but unfortunately, it catches a lot of us by surprise and forces us have to deal with a very different handling IndyCar than we were used to before. And yeah, there's no way of getting around it. I mean, it's not like you can just say, oh, let's keep the old setup or the old physics in there. iRacing says it's changing and you have to deal with it. So this is the first time that these drivers will have been racing utilizing this new update. And what it allows the drivers to do on the road courses is simply the rear tires will not overheat as fast. And this was a big problem before, as the tires would overheat almost instantaneously sometimes, especially the red tires, the alternate tires. And once they got too hot, you were going to be slipping and sliding all over the place. Now, we do have a couple more notes. This is Rick Lovison. Oh, having a moment and touching the wall again. And that did allow Manuel Gomez Esteban to get by for the moment, but, well, eventually Rick did get back by, and we've got another couple of notes here. This one coming, unfortunately, from who was running in third for a moment, but it looks like the front tire's given up a little bit for Jason Lowe. So that was actually, I take it back, that was before Dan Ensch getting around, and that was in fact the reason why, as you can see on your screen, that Dan Ensch actually got around is due to that damage. Jason Lowe choosing to let him go by. So again, an unforced error catching Jason Lowe out. He was on pace to get a podium finish and perhaps still could, but he's fallen back now to 5 seconds adrift of Dan Ensch. So unfortunately, very quickly, race by race, lap by lap, Jason Lowe's season kind of starting to fall apart, but still holding on to that 4th place. And if that car doesn't have too much damage, probably continue on. So I'm being told in the chat room, Julian Altena, our native Dutchman, giving me the fine conversion that 52.2 degrees track temp out there, 26.1 Celsius. Do appreciate the info, Julian. You can look forward to all that information and much more, as well as Julian's pristine Dutch accented voice, joining us for those PMRL broadcasts coming up on Wednesday. By the way, if you're a competitor in this series, you want to get into it, it's the last minute, but it's got some great competition, full field, great drivers. Come on over and check it out. I would say that it does not fall under the classification of a gentleman's racing group out there, much as the US IndyCar League kind of just lets their competitors go by if they're a little bit faster, that sort of thing. You're going to see some real heavy competition and dogfights going on out there on the track. Bunch of different teams going to be doing battle for season 2. But 26 laps to go here in Watkins Glen, New York. Again, glad to have you with us here. VirtualRacing.Network, as we're just over, or just coming up to the halfway mark, actually. And it's Graham Bunyan, your series points leader and defending champion. And, well, he's getting it done. I mean, each and every lap, getting it done. You can see Graham Bunyan's lap times consistently low laps, 30s and under. And that just spells doom for the rest of the field, unfortunately. A 30.02 last time by for Graham Bunyan, as it's rounded off, obviously. And we have a note further. Well, Rick Kelbaugh appears to be into the pits. So coming in for perhaps his second stop, but we're only on lap 19. So at that pace, I don't think Rick's going to make it on the same amount of pit stops as everyone else. But he has pulled it in, and we have a note here that Gomez Esteban had another moment. This was not long ago. Well, almost enough runoff room there. Oh my, that was interesting. Got jammed up in the outside wall, and then see how that looks. It's held up. I apologize to Gomez Esteban. It's just kind of funny to watch. That car caught in there like it was caught by a... It's like when you go in one of those, you run and jump in those suits, and you jump up onto you have the Velcro suit on, and you jump up there onto the sticky wall. It's much like that. It's like there's Velcro, hook and loop on that wall. Now, of course, that is a point about real life racing, and that is, of course, a really sad, tragic thing. And we won't talk about too much, but these Armcos have obviously been a major factor in the past and resulted in fatality. And we saw this recent. Oh my goodness! Wow, Graham Bunyan really sliding there, and that's. Let me stop and talk about that for 1 second. That is part of the new road course package, is that Graham Bunyan can ride out that slide a little bit, and it's not going to kill him. It's not going to end in an instant spin. And in the old days, especially with hot tires, that could definitely happen. So now you can ride out that slide a little bit more. It's not necessarily faster, but it doesn't end in death. That's the main thing. Dan Ensch making his way into the pits. So pitting from now third place, and Dan is my teammate at Last Lap Motorsports, and I am frequently so happy to see how good he runs on road courses, because he's so good on the ovals as well. That to see a driver that really is talented, able to do both sides of the craft, is a great feature, a great feat to have. And he's one of the great members of Last Lap Motorsports who, once again, he's just one of those drivers that he's got the strategy figured out. He knows how to pit, when to pit. He knows how to fuel save. He knows how to get the most out of these cars, and he knows how to use those adjustments to his benefit. So Jason Lowe up 4 spots here, and currently in third after that pit stop from Dan Ensch. It's really only 27 seconds back at this point from Graham Bunyan, which sounds like a lot, but given everything that's happened and how far Jason Lowe has had to come from the back and make some passes, and Graham Bunyan has not yet been challenged, that's actually quite an accomplishment. Now we are seeing another unfortunate, this one from Iñigo Montoya, the Necky Racing driver who we saw pop up in the Indy fixed race. It's great to have him join us, but unfortunately getting a little sideways there, clipping the wall. And okay, well, that was just as hard and bad as Rick Lovison's was. My goodness, I hope he took his... We're going to take a look at that one again, just from on board. Looks like the car was damaged and he just couldn't get it turned in. My goodness. Got to make sure you get your hands off the wheels, folks. Don't want to see anybody getting any carpal tunnel damage or anything, breaking a wrist or anything on these cars. And if you have those really high-powered steering wheels, the direct drives, that can absolutely happen. You could break your wrist with something like that. Anyway, just like real life. But back to the Armco conversation, which is not pleasant, but you saw Romain Grosjean have that incident in Bahrain, and that was the same situation. And so that's the reason why you don't want to see high-speed cars with just Armco to protect. I was kind of surprised when they came back here a few years ago, because I kind of thought that was an agreed-upon thing, like we don't want to do that anymore until they change the Armco. But flirting with disaster out there, and perhaps these Indy cars not going to do the same thing, I'm not sure. But either way, virtually not much to worry about for these drivers if they were to hit it, except possibly for those wrist injuries. So Jason Lowe making his way into the pits. He'll pit from third, and then we've got Howard Livingston pitting from fourth. We are over halfway here from the Watkins Glen Classic, presented by StickQuik. Watch Livingston make his way into the pit box. You got to hit that. You got to hit those marks perfectly. If you don't, you go too far forward. It will let you know, and you got to quickly throw it in reverse and get it back to the right point. Same thing if you're too far left, too far right, too far back. And one of the unfortunate things is, because in real life, they have the people stationed around where the car is coming into the pits. They've got actual marks on the ground, paint marks, tape marks on the ground that they put down, so that these drivers can really find that perfect spot into the pit box. But you don't have that here. There's no exact pit box to locate, so you just kind of got to center up on the lollipop guy. And sometimes it works right, sometimes it doesn't. A lot of times on ovals, you get these really, as you saw Graham Bunyan there, just leave in front of David Strid, completing his service, continuing on those black tires. Now also seeing Dan Ensch is out there on the black tires as well. So these drivers have now completed their pit stops. Another look at Graham Bunyan as he continues here on lap 25, excuse me. He's got a solid 10-second gap back to David Strid. And then it's Dan Ensch in third. Jason Lowe in fourth. We're looking at James Kennedy there. There's Jason Lowe. So Lowe having gained 3 spots today, and that last sector actually was a purple sector for him, so faster than anyone else thus far today, a 16.50. Now he is back out there on those alternate tires, as are James Kennedy, Howard Livingston, Richard Kelbaugh, all choosing to take the red tires with Lovison and Manuel Gomez-Esteban also. Everybody else on black primary tires, including the top 3 at the moment. And I would say that is probably due to tire degradation. So that time, Jason Lowe, I don't know what this guy's trying to do. I mean, just goes out there and starts setting purple sectors. It's almost like he wants to come back and challenge for third and second again. Well, maybe he will. No, it's always difficult to drive these IR18 Indy cars. I am certainly nobody you should be watching lap after lap after lap. I make my mistakes for certain. But Lowe really tearing into this lead here. And, well, we had a moment. So this was Mike West passing Iñigo Montoya actually in the pits. But then from what we saw a moment later, West having an off. Well, we'll skip ahead to that. So we can find out where that is. Oh, this is the end of a very long straight and out into the wall. Unfortunately for driver from Yakima, caught him out a little bit. And we see that he had another off after that, and my goodness, there's more contact. So unfortunately, it looks like for the Mike West fans, this day is not going to materialize into a top 5 with that damage. Oh, he's got quite substantial damage to that wheel, so not looking good for Mike. Let's take a look at Iñigo Montoya, who now just had a moment. Oh, we didn't get it quite early enough. Oh, there he's sitting sideways. Well, not sure we can ever get this one. Here we go. And it looks like he just got it loose going into the corner. Perhaps a little heavy on braking, trail braking coming into the corner, but Montoya didn't touch the wall. That was good. Oh no, and he got it high centered. He had to jump back to the pits. Oh, that's unfortunate. My goodness. Well, rough day for a lot of these drivers. We kind of expected this. Again, a lot of these drivers are really oval masters. They spend all of their time racing ovals. I appreciate that see-through flagman. I think these cameras were perhaps set before they put the people out there on the track. Because they obviously did not plan properly for that, but there we go. Thanks, iRacing. So back to the race at hand. It is none other than Graham Bunyan with 18 laps to go, who has solidified his road course racing dominance here. You know, and I say that, but it's not like Graham spends forever on the official races either. He's only got a 1927 I rating, which is not a lot. I mean, for a driver, I'd just be honest with you. I think if he spent a lot more time doing officials, he's kind of the talent level of a 5,000, 4,000 to 6,000 level driver. And he's certainly done a lot of one-off events and done a lot of individual racing on the side as well. Absolutely. Will Stearns checking in with us, letting us know that it's those darn right-hand turns to get him. Yep, I know what you mean. I know what you mean. It's so much easier to just turn left and take foot out of the pedal and put it back in and adjust that weight jacker, but just imagine doing that like 14 times every single lap. It's crazy, but somehow these drivers pulling it off today. Graham Bunyan there in first, David Strid in second. It's about 10 seconds, actually 11 seconds back from Bunyan now. Dan Ensch 14 seconds back from David Strid, 25 from Graham Bunyan. Ensch last time by, you can see there 130.56, and kind of matching Strid's pace, but nobody's got anything for Graham Bunyan. I mean, Bunyan's in a league of his own. He's well, I take it back, 1/10 faster fast lap than Jason Lowe, which is kind of surprising. I mean, that's an amazing fast lap from Jason Lowe, to be honest. But in terms of race pace, last lap by a 1:29.64 for Graham Bunyan, and nobody even close to that. So that kind of consistency, the thing that will earn you all of those seconds of padding to your lead. And I think Graham kind of needed it. I mean, honestly, we saw Strid making a mistake not that long ago. Cost him multiple seconds, I would say 6 to 8 seconds of that gap to Bunyan. But other than that, Strid has been able to be pretty close to the pace of Bunyan. And he looks to be kind of set for second place today if things don't shake out differently. For that very familiar Penske paint scheme. You're like me, spent some of your youth going to races and seeing that familiar paint scheme, or perhaps, you know, whatever years you were in. And I know I got some freebies from that company. The time when I was into that sort of thing, I got some freebies from the company that used to sponsor that team. You used to just walk into the racetrack and there'd be these ladies, and they would have these giant boxes of these products that company sold. Y'all know who I'm talking about, so I'm just going to continue with the code language. And all you had to do was just give them a little bit of info, and they'd send you home with a 3-pack or a 5-pack. It was incredible. Those companies did so much to support and I mean, obviously, all kinds of negative fallout from those companies being associated with motorsports, and that's why they're not allowed to advertise any longer. But they dumped so much money into motorsports over the years, and a lot of us we're proud recipients of some of that. Certainly a lot of race teams like Team Penske and Ferrari over in Formula One. But that's not part of the ball game anymore. It's a clean and green image for everybody now. And so even Team Penske changing up their scheme eventually and getting away from that. But it's great to see those liveries come out here in tribute. Of course, Graham Bunyan's livery itself, a tribute to Justin Wilson. And we talked about that in one of our races last season. But Justin Wilson, one of those amazing drivers in the Champ Car World Series, and then from the UK, one of the all-stars from the UK coming forward and, you know, bringing a lot of class, and he was just one of those. He's a tall racer who just spoke well, good-looking guy, represented everybody well, stuck around in the series for a long time, had race wins and raced with a number of teams. And Graham Bunyan definitely paying great tribute there by carrying that livery around, and also getting his wife's favorite band onto the front, which, I don't know if you can see it if we go to the nose here, but certainly shown it off enough. I'm sure you know who it is by now. You take a look back here at David Strid. How's he doing? Well, he was actually faster than the leader, Graham Bunyan, that time by about 0.5 of a second. All these drivers settling in for these long green flag stints, no yellow flags being thrown today. We have notes that Mike West in the pits, as well as Rick Kelbaugh coming into the pits and receiving service. So, as we await our leaders and others onto pit road, it's probably about as good a time as any for us to, as soon as I can get some of this stuff off the screen. It's like 1,000, it's like flying the space shuttle here. I'll screenshot something to Twitter one day that shows how ridiculous this switchboard is that we operate all of this with, but yeah, it's a lot of fun to remember where everything is at on the screen. So yeah, let's talk about the coolest thing that's going right now, which is this guy. Here we go. It is the StickQuik. Now, as you see Mr. StickQuik, Rick Kelbaugh there, flying around the Watkins Glen racetrack, he and his team put their brains together and they said, what could we come up with that you need, but you don't know that you need it, and you could use it anywhere in your house, your shop, your garage, give it to your friends. It's something that as soon as your brain wraps around it, it'll make sense and you have an instant need for it. Well, they came up with the StickQuik. There it is on your screen. It comes in all these different colors and it comes in 3 different sizes, and what you get is something really cool. There's the green one that I've got right there. And you know, it's one of those devices that you wrap it around anything that is roundish, and it will expand because it's made out of silicone, very heavy duty, weather resistant, all that good stuff. You know, obviously also oil resistant if it's in your garage, and probably chemical resistant otherwise as well. And you know, it's a cool thing that then as soon as you got it attached around whatever's round, it has a magnetic ability to put it up to anything that is made of metal that will accept it. And so you could put this on your workbench. If it's made out of metal, you could slap this to your refrigerator, your shop, your tool chest. You can tell I'm just naming it. I'm not even reading off a script. I'm just saying, just think of everywhere that you can put this. And then even if it's not made of metal, they give you these little pads that you can just attach to anything and it'll stick. So you stick the little pad on whatever you got, and then you can use whatever you have in the StickQuik and just stick it right on there. So it lets your imagination run wild. Stick them all over your house, outside and inside. You should probably buy at least a dozen of these packages on StickQuik.com and give them to all of your friends and family for Christmas. It's coming up, so Christmas, Hanukkah, Kwanzaa, whatever you celebrate in your neck of the woods, this is the way to go. It's already Halloween. Christmas is going to be here in a minute. StickQuik.com, now and forever. And back to live coverage. 11 laps to go, and Graham Bunyan just received service in the pits for his final time. James Kennedy now making his way onto pit road for his final stop of the day. David Strid taking over the lead for the moment by just 2 seconds. And Strid is going to need to make his pit stop just a moment ago. Or just a moment in the future, not a moment ago. That's senseless. So we continue here. It's just 11 to go, and Strid is lapping in the lead. He'll need to pit momentarily, as I mentioned, and then it will be Graham Bunyan resuming that lead again. Jason Lowe currently shown in 3rd. And we've got also Howard Livingston making his pit stop at the moment. Excellent launch out of the pit box. Definitely see that Howard is improving week by week, and this is a thing that I have personally noticed. I don't know. I'd personally love to know. And by the way, Rick Kelbaugh up into 7th. Good for him. But and it does appear as though Rick has made possibly his final stop. Stopping on lap 30, so I don't know if he can make it to the end. I don't think so. I think he came in a little too early for one of his stops, but we will see. Nevertheless, Jason Lowe now also there on the pit road, getting them final service. But yeah, back to Howard Livingston. He's been improving every single week, and though he hasn't gotten a win yet this season, he's sitting second in the points, and that's just due to his consistency. He has been dynamic out there racing for the Care Camps organization, and you'll be seeing much more of Care Camps at the end of the season for the Indy race. They are the presenting sponsor for that one. But Livingston, you know, doing well here on a road course. I know this is not their specialty for a lot of these drivers. Currently in 6th place and looking good. James Kennedy is another driver that we just don't see enough of in the series. I know a lot of these drivers have other commitments. Don Day, for example, super busy with his church band and other gigs that he's playing out there. Not able to make it in, and just a number of drivers that want to be here each week. But Kennedy's one of those drivers that's won in this series before on an oval, and actually showing that he's got some road course talent. So really an all-around driver we'd love to see a lot more of. Looking really good in that blue and white Sparco livery. So David Strid now into the pits, taking service, getting that good launch off pit road. Under 10 to go, it's 9 to go. Here comes Strid out, and he did lose overall about a second on that pit stop exchange, and you'd expect as much. As Graham Bunyan now burning push to pass, and David Strid as well. They've got 8 to go, so they were fast before. Now how fast will they get? That is a question. And guess who just put in the fastest lap of the race? We were just talking about him. We were just on board and singing him praises. It's James Kennedy, a 1:28. Put their best lap times up there in the ticker for you so you can see it, but a 1:28.63. It's going to take the fastest lap of the race thus far by about 3/100ths of a second over Graham Bunyan's 1:28.66. So as we get down to the closing stages here, it's anyone's race, and it's what are we seeing here? Dan Ensch and Jason Lowe, James Kennedy, all three now on track in a tight battle for third. And some more drivers putting in some fast laps. We've got actually David Strid that time in sector 4 getting the purple sector. So while we watch this battle on screen, Strid in his own little battle trying to put in the fastest lap of the race. Who will it be here? As we've got Ensch and Lowe, and then the hard-charging James Kennedy just behind. Anyone's battle for third in the final step on the podium. And there you can see these drivers how many positions they've gained today, and the last lap, what their top speed that was registered was. It's probably as good of a time as any. Why don't we go ahead and follow along on board as we watch Jason Lowe try to track down Dan Ensch. Wow, getting in very fast into that corner. Ensch struggling now, it appears, a little bit. So after that pit stop, Graham Bunyan on the black tires. David Strid electing this time to go with the red tires, the red alternate tires. But back from there, it's everybody on red tires except for Mike West and Iñigo Mardones, who also have chosen to go on the black tires this stint. David Strid, Graham Bunyan, both on the button at the moment. Jason Lowe out of push to pass. So just to give you a recap here, we've got Graham Bunyan, David Strid, both on the button at 6 push to passes remaining. And Strid has actually closed that gap up ahead by 7 seconds, or 2.7 seconds, excuse me. So that is closing a little bit. Graham Bunyan's going to have to be concerned with that. We'll watch. But right now, it's this battle that you're looking at with Jason Lowe just behind Dan Ensch, getting a run down the straightaway, diving to the inside. It's Jason Lowe. He's got no push to pass remaining. And they go side by side through the corner. But it's Ensch on the Ensch on the inside and Lowe on the outside, and Lowe takes the position. So this battle now continuing, and James Kennedy perhaps using up some of that, the last of his new tires, unable to keep that pace. Take it back, he did put in a 29.83 the last lap, and there you can see, if we go out the front, he is actually closing. So their little battle in front has actually opened the door now for James Kennedy to take a peek at either Dan Ensch or Jason Lowe. He was so cordial before, just letting these drivers pass by, but it looks like the cordiality may be over. Pretty soon he's going to have to make that charge and make the lunge. Will it be a yeet send, or will it be a beautiful overtaking maneuver for the ages? That would be the question. And will it even happen? That's yet another question we continue to watch. Now, as there's 6 laps to go, the fastest car on track, and I almost don't want to leave this battle here for 3rd place, and we won't leave it for very long, but we've got to take a look at what's happening up in front. This is David Strid, who right now, this last time by, did a 29.81, and Graham Bunyan is doing 31-second laps. So this gap is down to 5 seconds. David Strid is on the red tires, Graham Bunyan on the black tires. That time by Bunyan a 30.7 and David Strid a 29.77, so a second a lap, and that's what he's gonna need with 5 laps to go. He'll need a second a lap. Bunyan on the button, he's got 4 remaining. Strid on the button, he's got 4 remaining. Now we get to see the gloves come off. Who's got what under the hood and behind the wheel? That is what we'll find out. So we're watching on board with our visor cam. David Strid trying to put down those laps. There you can see the sectors. David Strid faster in each one of the sectors substantially than Graham Bunyan. This is your fight for the lead. As just behind, we're going to take a look at that. We just missed this battle. Actually, that's a, apologize, that's an errant note that we're getting. This battle happening right now for first place. 4.36 seconds as they start this lap. I don't know that he's going to have enough time to get there. You can see Bunyan actually a tiny bit faster in sector 4. So that time, not quite a second faster, about 0.7 of a second faster. Both drivers on the button. As I mentioned, Jason Lowe does not have any push to pass remaining from behind, so he cannot make any ground up on these drivers, but also is doing just fine in his battle back here. Taking a look back at Jason Lowe, it's actually a ways back now to Dan Ensch. Dan Ensch in that ALZ.org, Alzheimer's Association machine, getting the word out about what they do for sure. each and every week, bring him some awareness. But unfortunately, it's Lowe who's been faster in this last stint, and Ensch not really able to hold on. What's going on in that top battle? Well, we take a look again at Strid, and this time I'm looking, and it looks like he was slower in Sector 3, quite a bit faster in Sector 4, but the pace has fallen off a bit for Strid. This time by, it's a 31.84, so much slower than Graham Bunyan. It looks like the fairy tale has maybe come to an end for this moment, for this race. We thought we might see Strid haul in Graham Bunyan, but it's easier said than done. and that is a great point to make. I mean, even when the challenge is mounting from arrears, and it's a driver that you might fear, like David Strid, Graham Bunyan, he didn't make a mistake, and that's hard to do. It's hard to keep your composure. Got 3 laps to go, anything can happen, but after 42 laps of this one, Graham has shown again and again that he's the picture of perfection out there. He does not seem to make those mistakes, at least not the big costly ones. Takes his foot out of the throttle when he needs to. I think, why don't we go ahead and why don't we just ride a whole lap with Graham Bunyan? This is on board with your series champion and current points leader, Graham Bunyan. There you get to see entire lap from Graham's point of view as he takes the white flag. And as you can see at the bottom of the screen, Graham putting in fantastic lap to respond to David Strid. Ever since he felt that pressure starting to come from behind, that pace started coming up. Got down to about 5 seconds, but Graham able to respond. And now both he and David Strid out of push to pass. So pretty much perfectly timed as well. If I were a young person or an old person and I wanted to learn how to drive an Indy car and execute perfectly at the Watkins Glen International Racetrack, the classic boots configuration, this would be a race I would tune in to check out, as Graham Bunyan has done it again and put on an absolute master class for these drivers. So Strid continues, but as Graham Bunyan works his way around Rick Kelbaugh, who is now just going down a second lap, it's going to take the checkered flag in style. The Australian coming through yet again for another victory. it's Graham Bunyan who continues to lead the points, and he'll take victory here at Watkins Glen. Congratulations to Graham Bunyan and David Strid, who takes second. Now we look at Jason Lowe. So Strid ending that streak of not getting the podium finishes, but he does end here in second. And Lowe finishing it out in third at the end of this one. Dan Ensch bringing it home for a solid fourth. I think he'll take that after difficult weeks for sure. Not quite getting into the top 5, but also James Kennedy showing some speed today. In fact, Kennedy still listed with the overall fastest lap, so quite an accomplishment from Kennedy. Just have to figure out how to translate that into long-term performance. Howard Livingston bringing it home in 6th, and again, that's kind of a championship day for him. So we see Livingston continuing. And there it is, bringing it home in 6th. Rick Kelbaugh, fortunately, not quite able to get up into the top 5 today, but he had a fantastic day anyway in the top 10. Up a position from where he started. I think Rick would take that as well. Mike West, not a solid day, unfortunately. He'll end up in 8th. So, with all of that said, why don't we take a look at the final results? There you go. It's Graham Bunyan, as I mentioned, your winner by just 5.5 seconds. It was over 10 seconds, but that last stint, we saw David Strid really resharpen his efforts and put down some fast laps. Still not quite good enough in the long run to chase down fellow countryman Graham Bunyan, but good enough to make it a show, that's for sure. He finishes second. Jason Lowe third, Dan Ensch 4th, James Kennedy 5th. See the rest with where they finished on the screen. And that was actually exciting. There was numerous battles going on today. I really enjoyed getting to see, of course, Graham put down another masterclass, but we'll check in and see what they have to say at the moment. And let's see if we can check over into our broadcast booth. And we've got, well, why don't we get Dan Ensch in here? Let's see if we can pick him up in our audio. Hey, Dan, can you hear me?
Yeah, I got you loud and clear, Joe.
Okay, hang on just 1 second. Had a little trouble with the audio. Let's try that again. Can you hear me, Dan?
Yeah, I can hear you.
All right. Actually, we're having a little bit of trouble with the audio, so just bear with us for a moment.
Oh, testing 1, 2, 3, testing 1.
They might hear you back through my mic, but just hang on for 1 second for us. We'll be right back here. We'll get you these interviews.
I feel like I should be doing some kind of Jiffy Pop commercial or something.
Dan joking around here telling us he should be doing Jiffy Pop commercial. Yeah, unfortunately, we're struggling to get our audio set up here. Just give us 1 more minute here. We'll have it set up.
Who are you? Yeah, we're here, but Trevor's having a hard time getting us on the air, I think. Grant, what kind of bar settings were you running? Sorry, I better get the right button. 5 and 2, never changed. I actually changed mine. I lowered mine as the stint went on there. I lowered my front. Kept it getting so loose. I ran black the whole race. Yeah, the last 5 laps on the red. Yeah, and I should have realized. I ran black on the third stint and was pulling away from me at the end of the stint, Jason. I thought, I ought to leave these on, and then I thought no, and I probably should have.
Okay, well, if y'all can still hear me, we're going to do this kind of an old school way. It's going to sound a little tinny like we're doing a broadcast through a transistor radio, but we're going to try to do it anyway. Okay, so, hey, Dan, let's try this again. Well, you know, I watched y'all race, and I was super impressed. I was watching that beautiful purple and white machine, and you had it up there into the top 3. At first, I was trying to figure out if you were doing a fuel save strategy or what you were doing, but either way, it looked like it was a great run for you, and you looked competitive, fast, and like you were challenging for a podium all day. Congrats on your 4th.
Yeah, that's sky high for me on a road course, so I'll definitely take that. I think Jason at one point might have tagged the wall just a little bit, and it slowed him up for one of his stints. That's how I got in front of him, but once he got repaired, and he may argue with me about this or correct me, but once he got repaired, he was flying pretty good, and we had a good battle towards the end there. But that was a lot of fun to places 3 through 5. That was always in doubt the whole race. I had a ball.
Well, that's the main thing, is that you're out there having fun. We saw a lot of gentlemanly behavior. I saw that when you were faster than Jason Lowe, he let you by, a couple of other drivers doing the same thing. That type of camaraderie is really something that you see here in the US IndyCar League. You don't see it on official racing, you don't see it a lot of other places, but just one of those cool things about the competitors here in the series.
Yeah, it's a whole lot of fun, and I'm just glad I could get the Alice.org car to come home in the top 5 today on a road course. Like I said, I'll take that any day of the week. And thanks to StickQuik for making all this happen. We sure love the fact that we can get these racing broadcasts every week, and we want to thank Richard and everybody else from StickQuik that makes that happen.
Absolutely. We love StickQuik here. The whole series presented by StickQuik, the Watkins Glen Classic presented by StickQuik. But, of course, the Owls.org machine means a lot to you. You bring that out, get that awareness out with your racing every single week, and that's also a great thing that you do. And so thank you, Dan, of course, for that, but also showing these guys a thing or two on these road courses. I mean, you're not only an oval master with all your strategy, it's got to feel pretty good to get up there towards, definitely in the top 5, but towards a podium on a road course.
Well, this is one of my favorite 3 road courses, and I don't have many, but I like this one, and David Grid just gave us an awesome setup this week. I do thank you for that. It fell right into my wheelhouse.
Well, there you go. Sometimes those fixed setups fall into certain drivers' wheelhouses better than others, but Dan Ensch getting it done here today, getting a top 5, and getting his championship hopes back on track. Hey, congrats today, Dan, and we'll look forward to seeing you next week, bud.
Thanks, Trevor. Thanks for a great job.
Absolutely, my pleasure. Thanks for joining us. And so let's take a look and see who else we got. We've got Jason Lowe in our booth. Hey, Jason, can you hear me?
Yeah, Trevor, I got a call.
All right, great. Hey, bud, that was an amazing run from you. In the early stint, we saw you charge from mid-pack and make multiple passes coming forward. You were all the way up into 3rd spot pretty early on. You made a great pass there on Dan. We saw it live. And, I mean, it looked like Jason Lowe of old. You're making passes, and you're up there on the podium. Congrats.
Yeah, I'm pretty stoked. Haven't had a great season thus far, and it's all been self-inflicted wounds. Road courses, I like them. I'm not really good at them, but I like them. There's a lot of opportunity for both advancement and error. It's more of a mental game to me than ovals are. Not that ovals aren't challenging in a different way. I probably need to work on my braking a little more on the road courses. I think that's where I'm giving up time to the faster guys. But Dan was right. I did get into the wall coming onto the main straightaway. I scraped the left front. It actually didn't hurt the car, but it slowed me up enough that he was able to make a move, and I didn't press the issue because I just scraped the wall. But was able to stop a couple laps later than him, have a little bit fresher tires again, and I really think that was probably the difference. He also said he was a little tight on fuel, and I was fine. I was a lap good, so I didn't have to worry about that.
So what was that like all race? This being your first chance to get out there in a league race with the US IndyCar League and tackle these new tires that the geniuses at iRacing have delivered to us for road courses. I know the car handled completely different than the last time that we were out at Monza in the series. How was it to deal with those tires today?
Well, pretty much like iRacing said, you can get on the rear tire harder. When you come off the corner and get a little crossed up, it no longer wants to snap back the opposite direction, at least not nearly as much as it previously did. So you could definitely work the throttle harder on the exit. Still was super challenging because it got too sideways, got the rear too hot, felt it the next couple corners. You had to cool it back down. At least that's what it felt like to me.
Mm-hmm.
We'll get Graham's opinion because he knows this stuff, but it just felt like you could lean on the rear tires harder on exit without paying a penalty, without the car snapping on you. And I think it's funner to drive that way. I had a lot of fun today, and I really enjoyed racing with Dan and James. And I could see the leaders occasionally, especially early on. Later on, they were out of sight, but it was happy to be on the podium, happy to have a pretty much error-free race, close enough. And thank you for the wonderful broadcast you do as always.
Oh, it's always my pleasure. It's a great thing to watch you talented drivers out there doing battle every single week, along with the rest of the viewers here at VirtualRacing.Network. It's an absolute pleasure to see you masters go at it. So thank you for bringing your A game and making it happen every week. I'm excited every Sunday morning I wake up. I have no idea what's going to happen. So thank you, Jason, and congrats. And maybe this is back on track for the season. I mean, you just need one good race to set you back on the right foot, maybe.
Well, I feel good. Like I said, I almost did an error-free race. It wasn't perfect by any means, but proved to myself I could concentrate. Kept telling myself to be positive in the car, and I needed this. I needed a podium, and looking forward to next week.
All right. Well, we will see you next week. Congrats, and let's see, it's Talladega next week. That should be a lot of fun.
Total crap, dude.
That is going to be some high-flying excitement. Get ready for some Jason Lowe, David Zaleski sort of specialized racing. We're going to have some fun next week. Thanks, Jason. See you then.
Adios.
So Jason Lowe joining us from his ranch, his own sort of rescue ranch there, doing so much good work with animals, and still having lots of fun with his latest kitty acquisition, Jeep, who is letting his presence be known to all of the other animals there continually, and taking over Jason's sim racing seat. So that's been a lot of fun to keep up with. In the meantime, we do also have our winner. Once again, it's champagne now, but later it'll be bourbon. Graham Bunyan joining us now in the booth. And Graham, congratulations. You did it again, this time at the legendary Watkins Glen International. Flag to flag. And it was the picture of perfection. So, Graham, I feel like I've said that before, but you did it again. Congrats on another stellar victory here in the US IndyCar League.
Yeah, thanks. Great race, great track, love this track. Congrats to the podium, David and Jason, well done, and everybody else who survived. Wow, 121, 122 Fahrenheit track temperature. That is hot. They must have had a heat wave there.
Well, when we checked in, it was 128. So the hottest I could simulate at most of these tracks is like 136 to 138. So, this was really, really hot. Did that play a big role on the tires and degradation? And was that why you chose to go with the black tires all day?
Yeah, look, I've done a fair bit of practice there yesterday when we were racing the track, and then I just didn't find the grip was there on a long run with the reds. It was good for qualifying, but I didn't want to start the race on the reds. I think I needed to start on the blacks to get away, and it worked. But that last stint on those black tyres, I don't know whether it was me or I was having a hissy fit or what, but yeah, those tyres were terrible.
Well, it's interesting that you say that. I've seen some similar things. I had a problem in my last stint at Laguna Seca in a race where just all of a sudden you come out on that last stint and the tires just don't feel the same as they felt. And I have no idea if that's a real thing, a glitch, or what, but it's interesting to hear someone like you say that, because my teammates went through exactly that same thing. Maybe we're the only 3 people in the world that have had that. Either way, Graham, it bodes well because you dominated this race. Now, it was interesting to watch there at the end because Strid had drifted. He was matching you lap for lap for a long time. He did make a mistake and get it a little sideways and then recover from a half spin. And that cost him, I would say, 5 to 8 seconds. But then he held pace there. Then at the very end, he took the red tires and was starting to close on you, and he managed to get it all the way down to 5 seconds. Now, at that point, we saw a change of fortune. It looked like Strid had kind of used up all those new tires, and all of a sudden, you dropped the hammer, all of a sudden getting down into the 30s, and you essentially put this race away, able to win by more than 5 seconds, so no longer a threat. Did you notice Strid climbing? Was he talking to you on the team speak? Was he telling you, "Hey, I'm coming for you, Graham. You better watch out"? What was going through your mind at that point?
Oh yeah, no, look, I could definitely see him coming. I don't know whether my pit crew decided to chuck second-hand tyres on my car from like 10 weeks ago. But I think maybe the reds came to life on the last stint due to the rubber on the track, where I found that the blacks on the beginning of the stint were very, very loose and not sticky at all. They were slippery until towards the end they started to get the grip back again. So I don't know whether it was a rubber issue on the track or whether it's this new tyre model and the way it works now.
That is fascinating, and from my own racing standpoint, my gears are already turning about trying to test some of this stuff out and get to the bottom of it. But nevertheless, everybody has to deal with exactly the same thing out there on the track, and you also all have exactly the same fix setup to work with here in the league. So, I mean, in the end, Graham, it does show that you managed to work those adjustments, work the tires, and you've beaten all comers. Everybody who's tried, except for David Zaleski this year. You've been, like I said, a picture of perfection. So going back into the real end of this, the real main course of this league, which is ovals, we got Talladega next week. Now, how do you even begin to prepare for something like Talladega? Do you want to be at the front? Do you want to be at the back? Are you going to try to fuel save? What could possibly be your plan for that?
Well, number one, I got to make sure I've got a helicopter in the infield because I reckon it's going to be a big wreck. And I think I may get caught up in the middle of it. But Talladega, I don't think you want to be at the front. You don't want to be in the middle. You don't want to be at the back and lose the draft. It's one of those tracks, damned if you do and you're damned if you don't. Lady luck with that track.
And that's essentially what Jason said. So it being Lady Luck, who knows, maybe we'll get one of these other drivers that are unsung heroes that don't typically get up into the top 5. Maybe they'll have a shot at it. I know it works in NASCAR. Either way, Graham, I wouldn't be surprised. You say you might get caught up in the wreck, but drafting is a big key here in IndyCar. It is in a lot of different racing, and I think you might have another skill that's a mastery. We'll have to check that out next week and see whether Graham Bunyan can get back into victory circle. Nevertheless, you're leading the points. You're the series champion. It's got to feel good going into basically what is the second half of the schedule.
Yeah, it does feel good. I mean, it gives me a little bit of space there to have a DNF and still be there. So, yeah, I'm in a good position, and I've got to watch out for David Strid. He's definitely on my tail there, and if he didn't have that spin, I think I would have been coming second today. I don't think I would have been coming first. I knew he would have been my threat. He's very consistent on the road, and yeah, look, everybody improves week in, week out. As I say every week, it'll get there.
And that's exactly it. I was making that point during the race today. Strid is, taken 3 pole positions this season. He's fast. There's no question about it. He's been consistent enough that you can see he has the pace, even on road courses, to match your skill set. And definitely, as you mentioned, if he hadn't had that spin, that was really his only mistake today. And then to watch him climb back about 5 seconds on your lead at the end with that different tire choice, it really could have been a battle to the end between you and him. But that's something fascinating to watch. And again, it's something that we all focus on. I know you have your things that you're going to be improving from this week to next week, and things that you always look at week in and week out. It looks like David, even though he did have that one mistake, I mean, he comes back and finishes in second. So for him, what a great result. And to get that second place, if he could do that every week, he'd be right there challenging you for the points lead.
Oh, definitely, without a doubt. Without a doubt.
Well, we got to get David Strid over here in the booth sometime so we can find out his real opinion and find out just how many cigarettes he actually smokes with that livery. But but anyway, Graham, it's always a pleasure to chat with you, and I meant exactly what I said. Another masterclass. It's great to have your level of talent here in the field, and we look forward to seeing you next race at Talladega, where really nobody has any sort of advantage whatsoever. It's we could be seeing a huge wreck. Hopefully not. Hopefully we just see a lot of great drafting. But I hope you enjoy the rest of your weekend. We'll see you again next Sunday.
Will do, no worries. And again, thanks to StickQuik and Virtual Racing. Do a great job there, and yeah, see you next week.
Absolutely. As always, our pleasure. Thank you so much, Graham, for joining us. And as always, thank you everybody who has been watching from around the world. Live on our VirtualRacing.Network YouTube channel. It's been an absolute pleasure doing the coverage there, so make sure that you subscribe and you like the video for more. And of course, we will be bringing you the rest of the season in 4K ultra high definition. So let's take a look here at what the rest of the schedule is on our screen. So you can see next week we're headed to Talladega 191 presented by StickQuik, and then after we've got Texas, Iowa, Homestead. It says USA 100. I know that, or 180. I know that race has been replaced. I'm not sure which track it will be, but we'll find that out, I believe, by next week. Las Vegas, and then our final race for the Care Camps Indy on November 21st. So make sure you write it down and you get the dates correct. The dates are correct if you're in the United States, but if you're like Graham Bunyan, it may not be correct from his part of the world, so check your local listings. But it's been an absolute pleasure to be with you today. Again, I'm Trevor Greenfield, and you've been watching live uninterrupted coverage of the US IndyCar League's fifth race here in season 12, the Watkins Glen Classic. Your winner, Graham Bunyan, who took it by just 5 seconds over David Strid, and it was enough to solidify, of course, his place in the points going forward for the rest of the season. So we'll look forward to seeing you next Sunday, 10 o'clock Eastern Time. Make sure to subscribe, as I mentioned, like this video, and you'll get notified of all of our future updates. So until next Sunday, on behalf of myself and all of the US IndyCar League, I'm Trevor Greenfield, and I hope you have a wonderful rest of your weekend. See you on Wednesday for the start of the Prime Meridian Racing League Season 2. Until then, bye-bye, everybody.